Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this month's Fireside Chat. We are so excited to have the one and only Stacia Mahoney with us, who is the owner of Minx Mane, a beauty brand that is completely fabulous and has me trying new things, which I'm super excited about. Stacia is a digital diva turned entrepreneur. As a passionate advocate for converging business and consumer needs into digital advertising campaigns, Stacia thrives in environments where she can leverage digital technologies to architect positive user experiences. Her outstanding analytical skills paired with her get it done attitude have led her to walk through the doors and lead teams at Essence Magazine, Interactive One, and more. While keeping up with the digital trends has been a full-time commitment for her, she has the world of glamour. Still has the world of glamour. Stacia believes in the beauty of drama and lives a lifestyle to match. Minx Mane is here to fuel her appetite for all things glam. Stacia, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much. And hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here and be having this conversation.
We're super excited. So Stacia, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself? Where did you grow up?
I'll start with a little background about myself. I am a Jersey girl, but I was born in Boston. That's where my parents actually met in school. My dad went to MIT and my mom went to Northeastern. So it's a nice little love story that I love hearing about from time to time. I went to Pace University in New York City, downtown campus, where I got a BA in marketing, which it actually goes hand in hand with the field that I work in, which is interesting because nowadays you'll meet people who went to school for something, but they're not in that industry at all.
It's really rare to have your major actually match your future career. So kudos to you.
It is. And to be honest, I kind of just fell into it. But I mean, to this day, I'm so glad that I did because you hear all these things about what people want to be when they grow up, and no one says, okay, I want to be in digital advertising technology, but it is a field that is booming, and it's just wonderful. But currently, I am an entrepreneur. I also like to think of myself as a connector. I love connecting people and just bringing people together. I'm an energy person, and then also as well as being an entrepreneur, I'm also senior marketing manager at a really cool video technology company, which happens to be a Google partner.
Nice.
And outside of that, I am passionate about so many things, social justice and equality, youth education and development. I'm very purpose-driven, and that's why Minx Mane is a purpose-driven company. We believe in giving back, creating opportunities for other. So these are things that I take very personal, and especially when it comes to underrepresented communities, because we all know that all things are not created equal. And while talent might be distributed equally, opportunity is not. So whatever I can do to kind of change the trajectory for that is what I'm going to do. So
I love it. And so you mentioned briefly, sort of thinking about what you want to do. What did you want to do when you were a kid? What was your dream career?
oh my God. So I wanted to first be a fashion buyer because I also love that world. And I did apply to FIT and I got in. But my dad was like, well, if you wanted to do that, you could still do with a business degree. And he was right. So I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't limit myself. But I used to love Essence, reading that growing up. It's such a staple for Black women. So I was like, I need to be in this world. And then also I wanted to be an attorney at one point. But then, because I watched really good defense attorneys like F. Lee Bailey, Dick DeGurgan, and I'm like, yes, Johnny Cochran, they're everything. But I'm like, it's kind of mastering the art of storytelling, which I'm like, please do not ever put me on a jury pool, because it's like whoever tells a better story wins. And I'm like, all you have to do is just watch F. Lee Bailey in a courtroom and you're like, wow, you don't know A from B. It's really crazy. So I was like, no, this probably won't be the best career path for me, because although I love law and you can read about things, you can watch different documentaries, I'm like, no. I wear my heart on my sleeve with so many things. I'm like, I can't. I like dealing with things that are objective, right? And storytelling is subjective. So I was like, this probably won't work out for me.
Yeah, I actually wanted to be an attorney when I was a kid, but not because of any real life people, but because of Claire Huxtable. I was obsessed.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know that they ever even showed her in the courtroom on the show.
No, they only showed her with their briefcase.
Think about it. But she was, you know, she was just everything. I was like, I want to be that too. So yeah, definitely did not work out with that one. So you mentioned that you majored in marketing, right?
Correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about that major? Why did you choose it? What were some of the highlights? But then most importantly, how did it prepare you for your future career?
Sure. So I am definitely a talker, a communicator. So once I started digging deeper more into marketing, I was like, okay, this might be great, right? Because marketing is all about consistency, messaging, being collaborative, being a team player, being well-rounded, being open to different ideas, and understanding that ideas can come from anywhere. It's just not board level executives. They really do come from everywhere, and just like learning, listening to people. So I was like, this is great. So my junior year, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And it was such a great experience, you know, because in marketing, there's a lot of collaborative group work. Mm-hmm. So it really does prepare you to work with all different personality types, which is important, especially in New York City, because it's just, there's so many different types of people, it's a wonderful thing. I'm actually a person that it really genuinely brings me happiness to talk to so many different types of people and just be well-rounded, and being open. So like it just kind of came first nature for me to land in marketing. And then I also did a concentration in advertising and promotion, which just so happened to work out. It took a little bit of years to get where I'm at, but just like learning these different principles and like, you know, how do you advertise to people in a way that's authentic, a way that's consistent, effective. It takes a while to there is no formula. You kind of just have to test different things, right? But I think one of the most important things is just being authentic and staying consistent. And we're seeing that now, where this shift where consumers, they really do care about values and companies' values, right? I mean, I know for myself, when I make a purchase, I'm going to the about section of the site. I want to know what you stand for. I want to know what you do to give back to the community. How do you help other people? So yeah, it's really important, and it's just playing out in front of our eyes. So I'm happy that we got to this point. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but I'm happy that we're here and people do actually care about things.
Yeah, baby steps, right? So you mentioned that you do have a full-time job, right?
Yes.
But you also have your business. So what inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
Let's see. So having something of my own. And I think that growing up over the years, I've had these different leadership qualities. So one thing for me is like having something of my own where I can make the decisions. I can decide what the outcomes are going to be. And then I love the world of beauty. I love the world of digital advertising. So it was, for me, the perfect marriage in a way.
Mhm.
to be able to work on two things that I love, but then with the passion piece and all the things that I care about, tying that in as well. And knowing that, I created a product that not only will help people be beautiful on the outside, but also be beautiful on the inside. Because, with the brand, we donate, we give money back to charities that, fight for social justice and equality. They push youth education and development, and just basic humanity, which is super important. Again, it's things that are just like so important to me that I take seriously. And whatever I can do, whatever the brand can do to just kind of just help people in general. It's yeah, it's something that I'm gonna do. So that's kind of what inspired it. I'm sorry, that was probably a very loaded answer, but yeah, it's just like many things. But I would say the main two is just like having something of my own and then just being able to give back to, just different communities.
So can you tell us about Minx Mane? Like, when did it get started? What exactly do you
Sure.
do? Like, tell us a little bit about your company.
Yeah, so I started it, I want to say 4 years ago, and I had actually, taken a break from the corporate world. So it was the best time to just kind of again kind of think through something or put my entrepreneurial hat on and say, okay, what is it I'm going to do? So again, for my love of beauty and eyelashes, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to create something because I want a good quality luxury product that everyone can afford. Because I mean, there are these brands, that cater to celebrities, and I'm like, I don't think that they're the only people that should have nice things,
Right.
because, again, in life, we don't have the same kind of opportunities. And some people, their stories are just, they're harder.
Mhm.
So I really wanted to just have something. And again, like just my passion in the beauty space, that's what I came up with. So I kind of got it together, solidified a vendor, and customized everything from like the packaging to the actual styles, which was really nice. And then for me, again, like the whole purpose, I'm like, okay, that's great. I have an eyelash brand, but what am I gonna do? How am I gonna help other people? So it was making that connection between my passion and purpose. And then again, just like having my digital background too, working on the site, getting it up and running. It was so much fun. But to just like kind of sum up your question with Minx Mane, we're a beauty brand. We have an e-commerce site, and it's purpose-based.
I love it. I love it. So, what advice would you give to someone who's trying to start their own business, who's interested in becoming an entrepreneur?
I would tell them, oh gosh, to be prepared. Be prepared to fall and fail several times.
Mhm.
When you're starting out, there is no secret sauce. You
Mhm.
will have to test things, you will have to pivot. Um, and I don't know if there's a way you can really be prepared for that. But what I would say is keep going.
Mhm.
You'll get knocked down several times. You'll hear no, but you have to channel that into positivity, and you can't back down, and you have to put your hustler hat on, and you have to go out and get things. Like nothing is going to come to you.
Mhm.
You really have to be consistent, and you have to apply pressure and be somewhat aggressive, but at the same time humble, and be teachable. Listen. So they say, two ears, one mouth. You have to listen, because none of us know everything.
Mhm.
But if you have the right people around you, guiding you, mentors, listen to them and look at people who are really successful, learn their stories, learn what they did, and, try take it as your own and emulate that. It's a it's a long, hard road, but the reward and the outcome, when you're laying all that groundwork, you will get those wins and you're like, yes,
yeah,
this is everything that I've been fighting for, the late nights. It takes a lot of strength and a lot of courage, determination, and fight. But it's a beautiful thing.
I think a lot of businesses, I don't want to use the word fail, but a lot of businesses don't see their dreams come to fruition, right? Because of what you're mentioning, like you have to get through those trials, those errors, those mistakes, those like, like I wish I had a time machine moments, right? Where you can get to that, like, okay, this is my niche. Like, this is what I do. This is where I fit in. This is like why my brand is different. And then you just keep going from there. I think a lot of times we see people trying to add on too many things to what works. You know what I mean? Like,
right. And I think that honestly just comes with like pivoting. People, it just this conversation, right, about diversity, equity, and inclusion all of a sudden came up. Now we know this has existed for years. But just that moment and this awakening in our country, like, okay, wow, things are really not equal, right? We don't have the same opportunities. And unfortunately for us, I'll say I think being a Black woman it's a beautiful thing, but it also comes with a lot of adversity.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue like into one of our questions. Like, can you tell us a little bit like how you handle adversity in your career and education, and like how do you maintain that positive attitude, and like, so I'm sure you've been through some things, we all have, right? But like how do you deal with adversity and maintain your positivity through it all?
Determination, motivation, and for me, it doesn't matter if you're the nicest person in the world or if you're the meanest, worst person. People will always have something to say, right? But it's like, what do you respond to? And I think that never letting someone tell you that you cannot do anything is so important. Don't let someone try and tell you who you are.
Yeah.
You have to, like, even if people are like, oh, you're going to fail, you're never going to make it, use that as ammunition and say, tell yourself, like, I can do anything. I know this is probably cliche, but in my household, can't was not a word.
Right.
I can't do this. And then you get that look from your parents. Yeah. But
I can't hear
you. you have to mean it. I mean, because it's so important. Yeah. And I know for me, a couple things about me is like, I'm always going to get it done. If I don't know how to do something, I'm going to learn how to do it. And yes, I will never let someone tell me what I can't do. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to get it done. And it's just going to give me ammunition to go harder, go more extreme. I'm going to up the ante because it's, like we were all put here for some type of purpose. So yeah, that's how I, deal with adversity. But it's at the same time too, I think that even with just calamity or just like things that happen that are not positive, there's just beautiful things that come out of that. So I think that, with adversity, trying to, whatever the negative is, try and channel it into something positive.
Always. I love that. So for many high school students, choosing a college is one of the most difficult decisions they can make. You mentioned you went to Pace University, which was not too far from home, right?
Not far from home at all. Only about an hour away.
So can you talk to us a little bit about, how you went about choosing the school that you went to, and sort of what that process was like for you?
Yeah, so for me, it was strictly location. I knew from a little girl that I wanted to be in New York City. So
Mhm.
I was going to be in New York City. My parents took me all the time. And my dad actually got one of his masters at Columbia. So like we used to go up there. And I remember just like looking at just all the tall buildings and just like all the different types of people. And it's like these things stick with you.
Mhm.
So for me, I was like, oh no, I need to be in New York City. So for me, I knew I was going to school somewhere in New York City,
Mhm.
but being that I knew that I wanted to be in business, I just started looking at schools in the city that had good business schools,
Mhm.
and I narrowed it down to Pace, and yeah, that's how I ended up there. But what I would say too is like really write out a list of what you want. I mean, do you want culture? Do you want to go to a HBCU? Do you want to go to a big school versus a small school? Um, if you know what your major is going to be, what universities have the best schools for that? Um, and then kind of make your decision from there, because it's a very hard decision, but you have to list out the pros and the cons and see where you land.
I remember, I was at school one day and I took a picture. I don't remember. I think I was having a good hair day. I don't remember what the context was, but I took this picture and it was right as classes were letting out. So there's this like massive sea of people behind me, right? And I was like, kind of, take a picture in front of the Sailor Gate, which is like our famous thing on campus, right? So I remember sending the picture to someone. They're like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" I was like, "What do you mean?" They were like, "Why are there so many people behind you? Like, is something going on?" Like, I was like, no, there's 40,000 people who go to my school. Like, you're gonna see people, you know what I mean?
Right.
But to me, the campus always felt extremely small because the Black community was so tight that we all could just kind of
Hmm.
hung together, you know what I mean? And my major, um, you know, was so concentrated in one area. I didn't feel 40,000 people around me at all times,
Right.
So
Right.
but that might not be a good fit for,
Right.
you know, because it was
Right.
hard to find resources. You always had to stand in line for things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was hard to know where to go sometimes because it's a huge, massive school.
Oh, very overwhelming.
Yeah, it
It's
can
very
be. It can
overwhelming.
be. But again, like to your point, like having one of the things we do at FLOC is we work with our 11th and 12th grade students, and we really kind of sort through that process. Like, do you want to go to a school in the city? Do you want to go to the school in the country? Do you want to stay local? What is your major? Because my freshman year, I went to a school that was known for math and science, and I was an English major.
Hmm.
They didn't have an English department. I was diversity at HBCU because I was majoring in English, right? It didn't go well, right?
Right.
So, but I went because I got in, right? So making sure that you have all those pieces in place, but also understanding what comes with that. DC students are lucky because they get the scholarship that covers their out-of-state tuition their first year, right? Because
Oh,
we're not
wow. Okay.
state, right?
Right. Right.
Strict, right? So
Right.
that's really, really fortunate because I didn't know anything about out of state tuition when I went and I had to pay it, right? And it was just like, ooh.
Hmm.
But after a year, you residency and then you're in state and it's fine, right? But these are things that a lot of students, especially if you're first generation, that you just don't know.
No. Oh my
So
God.
that
Not
list is,
FAFSA. Ugh. The first time you have to do that, you're like, wait, what? What is this?
I'm waiting for a better system. FAFSA, oh, that FAFSA form is still giving me out
It's
palpitation.
still exactly like
But we
so
still
much
working our things on
anxiety.
that. Yeah. Taxes, all it's like, so yeah, it's a lot.
It's just like, mm-mm.
That is so funny. So Stacia, Flock and Minx and Mane are working together. Do you want to talk a little bit about that
Oh,
on a special
sure.
aspect?
I love this so much. So I know that you guys have locked in a designer, but we'll be working with 6 to 8 FLOC students between middle school and high school that will actually be creating a version, a limited edition of the Minx Mane packaging. Yes. Oh my God. I cannot wait for this. I'm so excited because it gives real life experience. Like, it's not a homework or school project. It is real life. Like, let your creativity flow, whatever inspires you. Like, I want to see it all. And then that limited edition packaging we will sell in June for Children's Awareness Month. And then FLOC will receive 50% of the profits from whatever we sell. So it also flows back into the organization, an organization that I love. So I just like, everyone on my team is just so excited for this. And like, we cannot wait. So
we're really excited too. Part of what we are doing with our project-based learning is, as you mentioned, providing these real world experiences for the kids. Like, aside from, oh, I know how to do the skills, like, no, I have this tangible product that I've created. We're learning about marketing, we're learning about graphic design, we're learning about all these key pieces, because I don't know if people are realizing we are absolutely in a digital world. Like, can you imagine if the pandemic had happened in the early 90s? Like,
no, we will all be a little bit more like off our rockers.
I think we really would have shut down then, right? But I think these are really, really crucial skills that students can take with them, and it might even help them decide to major in marketing or major in graphic design. You know what I mean? It could lead into a career. So we're grateful for this opportunity to work with Minx Mane and to be able to do this. And I'm really excited to see what the students are going to produce.
Me too.
Yeah,
I can't wait, because their brains, it's like we're gonna learn from them. And it will be so eye-opening, and just to tap into their brains, their experiences, right? Because our experiences definitely shape who we are as individuals and our character. And then it shapes certain experiences that happen in our life. So I'm just like, I honestly hope that they really enjoy it. I think they will. And we'll learn from each other. I love the minds of smaller people, because their way of thinking is just, it's so interesting. So yes.
I love it too, which is why I'm always like, thinking about it, but my career is going to be, it's like 20 years later, we're still working with kids and loving it every day.
And I think it would be such a memorable experience, and just that positivity, because sometimes while it may seem like it's a small thing, just having that type of experience, and it's positive, it's going to stay with them. Right. And they're going to know that I can do this. That adult world is not going to be as scary as we think it is.
It isn't, especially when you're walking in with skills, but also walking in with support. You know what I mean? Like, who your people are, you have mentorships. Like, we definitely want to connect people with mentors. We want to connect people with internships, just so they can have like those ports in the storm. You know what I mean? Like, I know where to go to ask questions, even if I don't know exactly what the question is. Like, I know I can go and kind of talk it out. So it's like super important.
And then knowing too, like, you're never too old to have mentors. You can have a mentor your whole life. And it's super important. There's definitely people that I can tap, and I know they genuinely want me to win and give me the best advice. So I'm like, y'all are like my self-proclaimed mentors, and I'm just so grateful for them, because they've definitely have broke barriers and just have become like renowned in their field. So it's just such a wonderful thing to be able to tap these people. So like, that's exactly what I want to be. And, I encourage like anyone from the program to stay in touch with me, or however I can help them. I'm all here for it. So and I'm authentic about it. I mean it with every part of my being, because I know how important it is.
Mhm. Well, we're excited to see what they come up with. I can't wait. And I'm so happy everything came together. So we'll keep you all posted on that. So last question for you, Stacia. What
Yeah.
advice or words of encouragement would you give to our high school students? And would you give to, I'm sorry, would you give to your high school self around overcoming challenges and working towards your goals?
So I would say, one, don't take no for an answer. Always keep pushing.
Mhm.
Always keep pushing. And then I would say, two, don't let anyone define who you are. Because again, people will always try to tell you who you are. Do
Mhm.
not believe that.
Mhm.
And then with that, I would say, always be true to your authentic self.
Mhm.
Whatever that is, be consistent and just stay on that path.
Yes.
Um, and then the last thing I would say is really do things from the heart. Don't do things to just check a box or be performative or transactional,
Mhm.
because again, that's not authentic. Um, do it because it's the right thing to do, and that's how you really feel,
Mhm.
and be consistent about it.
Yeah. I
And
love.
then I would say the last thing, I'm sorry, I lied. The last thing is there will definitely be a version of yourself in the future that will thank you for never giving up, and to that you kept going.
Yes. Yes. I love that. We're so excited and we're so grateful for you to come and talk with us
So
today,
excited.
bring your words of wisdom. And we're really excited to see how this collaboration goes with Minx
Me
Mane and
too.
FLOC. And we will definitely keep you all posted on that. So, Stacia, thank you
Yes.
so much for your time. Thank you for
Thank
joining us
you.
this evening.
This was so great
Yeah.
and so wonderful. And I thank you guys for having me, and, giving Minx and Mean the opportunity to work with the students and just have this positive experience. It really means a lot. So we are so grateful. And like I said, I can't wait to get started.
Well, I know that the students are really excited to meet you and they're really excited to get started on the project. So I think this is going to be really, really cool. Just a cool opportunity. So thank you all so much for joining us this evening. We are so excited to again have Stacia Mahoney from Minx Mane as our a special guest for our fireside chat. I hope y'all have a wonderful evening and we will talk to you soon. See you next month.